Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. So one of the things I get asked all the time is why I work full-time and have a crafting business on the side. My side hustle is what I call it. So we've been going through the Dave Ramsey thing for a while now. Gazelle Intense for about a year. We kind of started it before, you know, the Dave-ish. We were Dave-ish. I will film a video of our whole story and all of that later. But one of the things that we have done to get out of debt and to make extra money from our side hustle is doing crafting. We've done craft shows, we've done craft projects, we've sold online, we've sold on Etsy, we've sold pretty much everything we've tried. And so I wanted to give you some tips on how to craft your way out of debt. So maybe you're like me and you're just trying to get a little bit of extra income. Maybe you're trying to get out of debt, or maybe you're trying to just make ends meet. Maybe you're trying to get you some grocery money. I'm not sure, but one of the things that I've always loved is that I could use my passion to make extra income for my family. But sometimes it can be overwhelming on how do I get started, what do I do, and there can be so much expense involved, and if you're not careful, you can spend a lot more than you make. So my first tip is to start cheap. You don't need to go out and buy a whole bunch of supplies and a whole bunch of things because, oh my goodness, it can get expensive really, really fast. So start cheap. Start by, maybe you already have some craft, materials and things that laying around that that you wanted to do before. Start with that. If you, I've seen some of my other videos. You can see some of the Dollar Tree projects that I Cricut and vinyl on. You don't have to have a Cricut or a vinyl maker. You can use your own. You can hand paint. You can hand stencil. All of that. But I do a lot of Cricut or other kind of vinyl coloring crafts like that. But start cheap, and you don't have to go out and buy 25. You can go out and buy one, make it up, take a nice pretty picture of it and put it online and just say, hey, I'm making these. Would anybody be interested in selling or in buying them? You may have some bigger projects in mind for later on down the road, but when you're first starting, my best advice is just to start cheap, start inexpensive. Maybe you glass etch on mugs, maybe you vinyl on mugs, maybe you do some pot holders, maybe you do something like that. Whatever your craft is, it doesn't have to be the same as mine. Maybe you crochet, maybe you do something like that, but start with whatever you're good at and whatever you can do really inexpensively and build from there. My second tip that goes right along with that is that don't fall into the you gotta spend money to make money. Because while that is true, you don't have to start out. You don't have to go out and buy a $200 or plus Cricut or vinyl cutter. You don't have to buy a heat press. You don't have to buy an easy press. You don't have to buy woodworking tools. You don't have to buy all of these things all up front. Like I said before, start with where you at. Start small. Now, if there is equipment that you want to purchase, absolutely. But you're trying to get out of debt. So I want you to as gazelle intense as possible. So I want you putting 90% of that into getting out of debt. If you want to start holding back a little bit, and I mean a little, like 10%, if you sell something for $10, you're only holding out like $1 and save it up to be able to buy more equipment, that is fine. But right now, you're just jump starting. You're just at the very beginning and you want to make as much money with as little input, your best ROI, return on investment, as possible. Once you've built a little bit of income and built a little bit of savings, absolutely, that's when you're going to expand and that's when you're going to buy things. I sold so many things before I finally broke down and bought my heat press, and now it has made me tons of money and it's paid for itself over and over again. But I couldn't afford that when I first started, so I had to start small and start building to that, because the idea is if you're doing this to get out of debt, which the purpose of this video is that you don't want to be spending a lot of money, you want to be making a lot of money. Don't think you're never going to have those things. You're just going to have them in the future, and the goal is to just make as much money as possible right out the gate. Another tip that is going to be really confusing to a lot of you is don't do craft shows. Don't. And the reason is I've done a lot of craft shows and I've made some serious cash. And I've done a lot of craft shows that I have just been out too much money, that I've lost money, because you're going to have to come up with a booth rental fee. You may have to come up with your own tables. You may have to come up with your own chairs. You may have to come up with a canopy if it's outside. You're going to have to come up with an entire booth full of products and things like that. And that is all money up front that you may or may not sell. Hopefully you do, and hopefully you will, and eventually you can build up to that. But right out the gate, if you're trying to get out of debt and save money, my best goal is to wait to do craft shows. Wait till you have a few things that you know you like, that you know are good sellers. Try them out on Facebook. Try them out on Etsy. Try them out, selling to your friends and things like that. Try all of that out before you put all of the money into an investment into a craft show, because I have had friends that have just spent hours and hours and hours and hundreds of dollars, sometimes thousands of dollars, to get ready for a craft show and not even made what their expenses were. I think that craft shows are a great way to make money, but they're not a great way to start out making money. Next one I mentioned in the previous one, start with selling to friends and family. Now, one of the things that you might get caught up in is sometimes friends and family might be like, oh, I want you to make this and I want you to make me this, and they expect you to do it for free. And just be very open and very honest and say, I would love to make this for you, but it's going to cost this. Now, there is a little bit to that. Now, if you have a good friend or a family member that you know that you can make something for, and they're going to tell the world about your product or about what you're making, then you might offer them one for free, or you might just do it out of the goodness of your heart. But don't get sucked into that. I know a lot of people in business who have really struggled just because their friends and family took advantage of them. So hopefully that is not the case, and hopefully your friends and your family will just spread the love and spread to be like, hey, my friend Amanda is selling this and you're going to need this, and maybe I'll make her one and she'll be like, oh my gosh, you have to see what my friend Amanda made me. And that's an absolutely great low price advertising. So those kind of things are wonderful, but just sell to your friends and family. A lot of times if they know your story and you can offer a product or service that they're actually looking for, that's the best thing, because they're going to be the best people to be out there promoting your things. My next tip is to save every penny. When you are selling crafts and things, sometimes it's not a lot of money at a time. Sometimes it is, but often it's just maybe smaller amounts of money. What I did is I got a coin purse. It's actually a makeup pouch that I got at the Dollar Tree, and I put it in my purse. So it's not even part of my wallet. So there's no chance of me spending my craft money. And I would start with a little bit of cash so that I can make change and things like that I would reimburse myself for later. But then I would just keep that coin purse, and in it I would have some change and a pen or something if somebody, and my business cards. If you don't have business cards, don't worry. You don't need to. You can order some of those like later on Vistaprint or something really inexpensively. But until then, you can write it down on a piece of paper or something like that. No big deal. But I would keep those things in a makeup bag pouch. I'll insert a picture. I would keep that as basically like a money bag. And in fact, for a while, I actually used a bank money bag, but I thought that the makeup bag was a little less, bling, hey, this is money, this is cash, right? And so, but I just kept it in my purse, and then as I would meet people, a lot of times what I would do is I would meet people after work. So I would advertise on Facebook, hey, I'm making these crafts, these things, and somebody would be like, oh, I want this, I want this, I want this, and then I would meet them after work, and then all of that cash went into that little separate bag. At the end of the week, I would deposit all of that money into a separate account that we kept for my business. That way I could start building it up. And that way also, once a month, that's when I would apply all of that to my debt, just so it was a little bit bigger. You could do it more often, but I really like doing it once a month because it just added up. Because when you're starting out small, it may take a while. It may take a while before you get to $100. It may take a while to get to $500, $1,000. But eventually, it's incredible when you have several $100s that you can pay towards your debt snowball at the end of the month that didn't even come from your bank account. That's a separate amount of money, and that is awesome, and I love it. There were even a couple times at the beginning of our debt snowball where I saved up the money and I was able to pay off those first few small loans free and clear with just craft show money, and that's when you're like, oh my gosh, you really feel like you're contributing. And not that I'm not contributing, I have a career, but you really feel like your business is contributing and all of your hard work is paying off, and that is just amazing feeling. So keep that separate and just make sure, because it is so little. And when when you're just starting out and maybe somebody gives you $25-$30, and it's so easy to put that in your purse or your wallet or whatever and then spend that. And so make sure you're keeping it separate. That way it all adds up. Lastly, get a Square or a PayPal reader or some kind of card reader so that you can take debit cards. I know there's a lot of controversy on this, is do I accept debit cards, do I accept credit cards? And the thing is I do. I accept it. It's a form of payment. It's a very large form of payment in this day and age, and I don't judge anybody else for what they want to use their own money for. They're making it. And a lot of people, the thing is a lot of people get out of debt using credit cards as a tool. That is not the case for me. That's not what I fully believe in, but that is their own right. And so if they want to use but I advertise it as like debit cards just because that's kind of personally my beliefs and things. But get a Square or a PayPal card reader. This video is not sponsored by Square, but I do have a referral link if you want to try it out, and you can get your fees waived and things like that. So there is a really nice referral link in the description box below. Regardless of the payment forms that you use or that you accept, make sure that you just keep it separate, because it is, like I said, so easy to spend that money. And so regardless of whatever you guys are making and however you're doing that, just make sure that you keep that separate. All of this will really help you see in the end of the month or the end of the week or however, your time frame, just how much money you're making, how much effort, how much time you're putting into it versus how much you're spending in supplies versus how much you're actually making. And that makes a big difference. And then you can kind of start focusing on those projects and those things that make you the most money, the best ROI, the best return on your investment for you. Last tip, just work hard. Just work it and just do the best job you can do. Be the best salesman you can be honest, be friendly, be loyal, be responsible, and you're going to do great. And just start out small. Just sell a few things here and there, and it really adds up. Maybe set yourself a goal, write yourself a goal. Maybe this month I just want to make $100. Maybe this month I want to pay for my groceries for 1 week. Maybe you want to pay for your groceries for the entire month. Maybe you want to pay your cell phone bill. Maybe you want to pay this bill. Maybe you want to pay that. Or maybe you really want to apply all of this to your debt snowball, which is what we did. And you're just wanting to be like, how much money can I pay on this debt this month, and just go from there. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching. Thanks for spending time with me. And I just want to encourage you on this debt-free journey, because it's hard. It's hard, guys. I can't tell you how many times that I stayed up till midnight listening to the Dave Ramsey podcast, pressing shirts, staining wood, whatever I had to do to make a few extra dollars. But I am telling you, a year later, so many of those debts have been paid off because of that hard work. And just stay the course. Just stick with it. Stay gazelle intense, because you can do it. I just don't want you to spend a lot of money to start out, because I want you to be making as much money as possible, and then you can build on that. But nothing is more important than hard work. Just work hard, just do your best, and it really, really does pay off. Just stay in there, guys. Anyway, I love you guys so much. Thanks for watching. Bye, guys.